Branding.
The kit. Gotta get the kit.
Gotta get that cat
Gotta
and
get the
cloud, gotta get
smoothie.
it
Gotta
in
get
your-
everything.
I love them smoothies.
You got a voice, dude? Do you
I
sing
don't-
too?
I don't have a voice, but
You have a voice.
nicely does.
You got the thing.
See, I sing
Oh, no, dude.
because I'm happy.
Wow.
Yes.
And I sing
That's so sick.
because I'm free. Go make me cry.
Go tell him.
His eye is on the sparrow.
Dilla.
And I know
That's good.
he watches me.
Oh.
That might be the best podcast
I don't know
intro
about
we've
all
ever
that. I
had.
don't know about that. Got me cracking there for a second.
Yeah,
I
that
feeling
was
it. I like,
amazing.
I'm literally standing, sitting, existing. With
You
people I
you
love
let it
very
go.
much, so.
I like that you let it go. I like that you let it go on bar too. You just like
Yeah.
let it go on bar. Like crank it up.
I told you, you bring the best out of me. So
If
I mean,
you're
come on
listening
now.
to this on audio format and not watching on video, you probably have no idea what's going on. Welcome to the podcast, everybody. We're at Menotti's.
Yeah, Venice Beach, California.
Sitting here with Nicely. Sitting here with Derek.
If anybody's watching this and is wondering why I'm holding it so close to my face, though, it's because he told me it's going to
It's
be
cut
better.
the ball.
than
I mean,
my
I
team
just
right
I was
there.
just trying to prevent you from
Okay.
like drifting. Can you hear how it feels when we're drifting?
Yeah.
Keep it conscious. There
Drifting.
you go.
Alex is in the corner. You can't see him. He's doing some choices. Pop in here, dude. Just say hi.
That guy right
Say
there.
what's up.
Hey, everybody. Miss you guys.
Miss you.
Yeah.
I miss you, Mars. I miss you.
Marshmallow.
Miss you.
Marshmallow.
Miss you. Mars. Okay, I'm trying to figure out where to start with this whole
Yeah, I'm
situation.
curious too. I'm like, man, I didn't even know we were going to be doing a podcast. I was like, okay.
Let's
all
get
right.
into it.
Let's rewind this thing, dude. Well, let's do the daily rewind. Got up,
Yeah.
took a bird over here.
Hey, it's pretty fun.
And if you don't know what a bird is a little electric scooter that you download the app on your phone.
I got an invite code if you want it.
I got
the
a
world
free
by storm,
ride
man.
thanks to DGT over here.
Can we put the link in the video?
Link in description. Do you want to?
Yeah.
Let's
no,
do
you
it.
Totally should do it.
Yeah.
See how many people get a free ride from
Free
boy.
rides on
Link in
Menotti's
bio.
on
Free
birds.
bird. Are you birding? Does it work with bird anywhere?
Yep. Or not anywhere, but
Anywhere in LA.
West
Venice.
Side.
West Side.
Yeah.
Okay. So electric scooter, over to the coffee shop, come to hang, come to chill. We had a really cool rap session last night, which was Alex and I meeting your whole staff. Everybody got together, kind of like little family style meal.
Yeah.
Open
meeting,
forum, meal, meeting.
and to kind of connect the dots.
Yeah, communication between.
Communication.
No, I mean, I thought I felt a lot of value in the idea of like us, becoming a Cat and Cloud account and you guys having an opportunity to come and meet some of my people and them to get you to ask you questions. And yeah, that was awesome, man.
The more I connect with the people that I serve coffee to, like the cooler it is. And I used to experience that a lot on the retail level, like behind the counter, because the connection's right there. And then with things like wholesale, it takes a little bit more work. You got to go out of your way, but it's so worth it.
Yeah.
It's
No, I
been
could tell,
so
man,
worth
being
it.
on
Thank
the
you.
bar with you, man. You were like ready. You're like, yo, how you do? I could tell you ready to still converse.
That's my
it.
safe
You still
place.
got
That's
it,
my
yo.
safe place.
You still got it.
That's when I turn it on.
Yeah,
think.
you were-
Like, I get behind the
you were
bar and I'm
riffing and wrangling.
because I'm kind of chill in real life. Like,
relate.
cameras get me going. The bar nothing gets me going. Like,
Camera's still tricky,
reciprocal.
but being behind bar,
Yeah.
I'm all right.
yeah, that's-
Reciprocal energy between, both sides of the counter.
it's an acquired taste. You know what I'm saying? You're like, here we go. So you've heard us talk about Menotti's before, but if you're new here and you don't know what's going on, we got the Omegas. We're ready to go.
Official.
You're in Venice, California. This is a coffee shop, but this is like, I want to talk about the name, but I want to talk about the dream first.
He
Just-
was the dream, man. He put the dream together. So I'm
Let's
serious.
say-
Let's
I
talk
got-
about
well,
let's talk about
you put that
inception
dream together, though.
and structure. Like, where did this
Coffee
come from?
is-
Like, why is this even here?
Coffee is community. Music is community. Both are positive things in a person's day. So we really love, being that positive influence on a person's day. So great coffee, great vinyl records, every day.
It sounds really good.
Yeah, that's the heart of it, is
Good vibes.
operating on a frequency that's inspirational for us on the staff level, but also on the customer level.
So you're a musician.
Yeah.
I mean, you're more than a musician, but you have a musical background.
I have a musical background.
What got you even excited about the prospect of starting a coffee shop? Like, obviously, you're talking this huge community thing.
Yeah.
But what makes you want to make the plunge from, like, I'm going to enjoy this as a social aspect of my life to, like, I'm going to start putting plans together and I'm going to do this thing?
Yeah.
Was there a moment that triggered that?
Living in San Francisco, seeing a lot of beautiful roasters form, but also touring the world with the vehicle of music, and recognizing that the coffee shop is the first social network. You know, it is the place that you go to in a city to find a good restaurant or a good recommendation for a venue or a show, or maybe you got some ideas and you want to share them with somebody and connect with some eyeballs, you know, together. So touring coffee shop is the heart of a community, and really something that we wanted to both be a part of and you know, inspire a neighborhood with. So yeah.
So you're sparked in the city. And then how did you two end up coming into contact? There's an origin story there.
There's all kinds of
There's gotta
origins.
be.
Downtown
levels
Los
to that
Angeles,
origin.
essentially, but
Yeah, I was working at Handsome Coffee Roasters, and in a very organic, authentic way. You know, we met. We were, you know, yucking it up quite a bit, and I had invited him to. He had a studio space nearby where he was working on an Instagram T-shirt business and stuff. I still think it was brilliant, by the way.
thank you so much.
You know, Instagram is what it was. you
Rev
know.
share,
I thought it was
artists, we
awesome.
support
I thought
you.
it was awesome. But anyway, we were always geeking a lot, and there was going to be a throwdown on one given night. I think it was at Icon.
Yeah.
And I invited him to come check it out, and he saw all of the crazy that it is. I happened to win that one, so I think that kind of helped. You know,
I saw you win
the
one. I also
experience,
saw you
you know.
judge one. I just saw the authenticity between a community of baristas and, you know, just rad creative people, you know, that are inspiring on a lot of levels. So
yeah.
What?
I was gonna say, like, I could kind of tell, like, he was, you know, definitely a coffee geek and stuff, you know, and you know, we just kind of hit it off, you know. So
What made Nicely stand out to you in the perspective of you're around coffee community, you're familiar with coffee, so you've seen a ton of baristas doing work,
oh yeah,
right? Like there's potentially an endless number of people who you could partner with to do a really cool coffee shop.
just the passion, the drive, the customer service, just the realness, like able to geek out if you want to geek out, but also just able to brighten your day with his vibrato, you know.
yeah,
I can take it up a couple octaves
you know,
from here.
every once in a while, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, wanting, just feeling the pull for this neighborhood that we're in, and also the roots that he was beginning to lay down with family, and you know, wanting to go on that journey together to inspire other generations and other people, you know. But yeah, it was really that wow for people, like, you know, just being so committed to, like, maybe rocking a pour for some people, and like they're tuned in and like, oh, that's magical, but it wasn't just right. It was like a little flick of the wrist. It wasn't right. It's like, hold on, let me do that for you one more time. And but just reading the person to be able to like share that with them and deliver like live art, you know, through food and beverage is amazing. That's an artisan,
You know, I'm getting,
artisanal and everything. You know what I'm saying?
AOE,
Yeah.
artisanal on everything.
There you go.
I think there's a lesson in
love,
there, which
yeah.
is there's something more than just like numbers and spreadsheets or what makes sense. You know, like let's say if you take someone and you're like, oh, I'm going to categorize this person as X and this person's Y, and these two things together would make like a really cool business partnership on paper.
Yeah.
But there's like some sort of energy
Algorithm.
or magic or rhythm that it's really hard to quantify that kind of makes everything click. which is
All
why
right.
some things work like magic and some things that seem like they should work don't at all because
Yeah.
you're missing that layer of energy.
It's the value that's not always tangible.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's in the
look,
gut.
I feel lucky that he recognized something like that, or whatever, and I'm grateful that he helped put me in a position to take care of my family and establish myself to a degree as I don't know, that much more of a coffee professional, make it worthwhile,
You were pretty established.
Very.
I mean,
It's a different level, but you were pretty.
yeah,
How many
I mean,
times did you win the World Latte Art Championship?
By the time we did this, 3 times.
Probably
yeah.
3 times?
Yeah, 3 times.
No small feat.
But look, I think like I'd already seen, I was gonna stop competing as much, and I needed to kind of shift the energy and the focus into something, and he provides this amazing opportunity, and
So thankful to have partners that believe in both of us,
he brought
Louis
us
and
all
Nettie.
together. So I mean, so we hit it off as naturally as we did, and recognized whatever it was, and then he had me meet with Louis and Nettie, who own the bar right next to us behind your back, and yeah, just right behind your back, not behind your back.
Literally behind
Literally.
my. They were good. They were
Through
going
those
around behind
doors.
my back, and I was
Yeah,
like, "What?
Yeah. Well, we were just starting a coffee shop,
These
but-
motherfuckers going behind my back, son."
Yep, just starting something fire, But they I think saw how passionate we were about this project. They realized well, we've got the space, we just don't know how to make it happen. So why don't you guys make it happen? And
They're so inspirational to me for really having these community spaces in Los Angeles. They're around food and beverage and more music more than anything. Louis and Nettie kind of kicked things off with a really legendary club called Temple Bar in Los Angeles, and that was the pull for me. That it was so inspiring to see them have this hub for very creative people, to flourish in, and all of their spaces are so creative and so instrumental in a neighborhood, and really inspiring exchange of information between all 3 of us together is pretty powerful teamwork.
And the building that you're in has so much history that's associated with it.
Vortex.
yeah,
I mean,
no, you're right. I mean, Menotti's Coffee Stop. This logo is pretty much original to the space. The only difference, it didn't say Coffee Stop back in the day. It used to say Menotti's Bar or Menotti's Buffet. And we named it after the original owner of the building. He built the building in 1915 as a bar. His name was Cesar Menotti.
and that's his picture on the wall over there, yeah?
Yep. That's
Gotta
his
look
picture
for
over
him.
there.
You got that secret menu.
Look out
Yeah,
for
right.
Cesar, dude.
Yeah, look out for Cesar. You might have something to tell you right behind him, just flip around. But he ran the largest distribution center for alcohol in Los Angeles during Prohibition, and it was like right below our feet. So we saw a lot of value and a lot of just fun in paying homage to some Venice history and taking it in a fun new direction. Barista and Italian as bartender. So there's a lot of parallels to play off of in the coffee world and in the alcohol world, being able to put those parallels together for certain people when they come in the space to help them understand, well, why is this specialty? And, the same way they appreciate a wine or a cocktail, getting them to kind of, bridge the gap a little bit. And,
Right. The history lesson bridges the whole thing.
It helps.
Yeah, it's
it
so
helps.
sick.
Yep.
How was it when you first opened and you're kind of making this transition from, I don't want to claim what your identity was, but people knew you as, I'm a latte art champion. I'm a competitor here. This is what I do. And then going in this whole other direction to like, cool, now I have this business to manage, these people that I'm responsible for. Obviously, you were no stranger to working in production barista environments, but was
Yeah.
it a different kind of level that you felt, or?
It really was. And I kind of had a small opportunity to just test my sea legs, if you will, a little bit. When he initially approached me about this project at Handsome, it was a little too early in its, sort of conception to be like, all right, yeah, I'm going to do that project. I was like, nah, I'm good. I was still, married to the Handsome idea, right? About 6-7 months, passes, things change, and I was working at a restaurant in West Hollywood, using Handsome's coffee and running it with my wife, and that was kind of showing me like, okay, at least I think I kind of got an idea of how I'm supposed to run a place, by making sure my pars are a certain amount, by making sure I'm not wasting a bunch of whatever, So then I was starting to be like, okay, I think the next thing has to be something a little bit bigger, And then he revisits the conversation. I'm like, oh, yes, this is awesome.
Here we are.
Now's the time.
I'm grateful that you bring up the idea of like, people knew you as like this latte art thing, but I think people that really know me and really worked with me understood that there was so much more I cared about before we got to that pretty part, that having a space to kind of, show that, that it's like there's these other little details that you need to do in order to get to that last little pretty part, So, yeah.
Yeah, that's truth. It's so hard because, sorry, I cut you off.
Go ahead.
With social media and the way it works, it's so easy to put people in the categories. So we're like, you're a latte artist. You're a barista competitor. You're a coffee shop owner.
I gotta call, or I gotta bring a level of appreciation to Kyle Glanville in that regard and stuff, because in my mind I've always had, the idea of he had challenged me at some point. He was like, someday I want you to be thought of as more than just a great latte artist.
That's amazing.
And he's one of those people that challenges you in a way that will make you grow, and I think that's always something that I've always ended up having bubble in my mind. I'm like, well, I ain't trying to have Kyle Glanville talk shit, man. I'm trying to make sure, I bring next level game then.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He's really good for stuff like that.
Oh, buddy.
He'll throw it at you,
The best.
not in like a hater kind of way, but in a like ridiculously honest sort of way where you're like, fuck.
I've likened him to an older brother that I've just been like, man, all right, man, I'm gonna do it, But he's always made me better. So
We're gonna do this.
Kyle turns it up.
Shouts out.
What? I felt like you were on a roll there for a second.
Just riffing with
I
you.
thought you were
always
going to
on a
cut
roll,
in. I thought you were going in.
I was just looking at people walk in and
yeah.
it's a weird mix because people are coming in at the same time, so I'm like giving them some eyeballs.
Like, hey, what's up?
Hey,
it's
we're
like
just
a
over
reach
here
out from the corner.
Yeah.
Derek's like parking patrol.
Yeah.
And like social
Parking
patrol.
attendant, social.
making sure people don't get $70 tickets.
Yeah.
All the time.
Hey,
Maybe
it's
do
street
some
cleaning
dishes.
today. I got you.
Yep.
I think that's so sick to see the legacy kind of move forward and tie it all again. And I think for a lot of people out there, it just helps people have that appreciation for you or respect for you that like, you had earned all along, but it's like, hey, it's legit now. And people, it's cool because I see that too. And I don't know if it's good or bad. Like it feels good when you have these accomplishments that you can stack up. But it's interesting to see, like people treat you different now that you own a business, or people talk to you in a certain way, and it was like this whole thing from coming out of,
no, you're right.
I'm just a kid to, you're a big kid now, and now you're a grown up.
You're totally right, man. It's like it's changed the way I look at latte art in a lot of ways, because while I can find glee and get into pour with you and geek out and everything.
You guys were ripping today.
Yeah, those are moments sometimes far and few in between because there's so much bigger that you got to be worried about,
right?
And so.
Which, I'll tell you what I got out of that. It was like, I'm maybe where I'm at right now, I'm like almost too in tune with the bigger part. And I was like, oh, shit, I need to make more coffee.
There you go, man.
You were
back on
cruising.
bar a little bit
You know
more,
what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like, there's
He
like
hopped
this little...
in the new square registered intuitively.
I was the most
handling it all.
mastering.
I was actually most proud of that first transaction.
Yo.
He nailed it.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, cappuccino? Yeah, $4. Okay, here,
Bam.
one back at you. I got a couple tips, too. That's cool.
You got
Yeah,
a good tip,
man.
buddy. We got to tip you out
contributed.
today.
No, don't tip me out, dude.
No, I was going to say, I'll come in a check
Don't
later,
give me
so
anything.
got you.
That all goes to your squad.
Oh, man,
But
that's love right there.
that's exciting. And then the space, since you opened it, has grown. So it's almost
Yeah.
like
We're sitting in
the
the new
customer
half.
area. It's like
Yeah.
twice the size as it used to be.
Yeah, I tell people that, we turned 2 years old and we literally got twice as big. We're in our 5th year of operation now. So we've gotten to see this now for the past 2 years, really take off.
Why was this not part of the original build out?
I think in the 50s they were compartmentalizing the building to like do smaller businesses.
Yeah, so this got compartmentalized to
Yeah.
this little spot that was operating as like a head shop and like, postcards and sunglasses and magnets.
Nefarious
souvenir
things.
Shop,
The
All kinds
standard
of nefarious
Venice
things,
situation.
It was a little suspect.
And a little suspect, there's a very Venice story in getting the added space that the lady that ran this space that we're sitting in right now for the last 25 years, or for 25 years, we know towards the end of those 25 years she was supplementing by some level of illegal activity. And
Come in and talk to us about that
Yeah,
story.
yeah.
I don't know. If
I'm just saying. Well, that I didn't. Allegedly. Some
Allegedly.
suspicious activity, but the vibe out front was never amazing. It just didn't. It definitely just didn't jive with what we were doing next door. So She can we tell? I mean, might as well tell a full story. No,
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I'll tell you what. You can say whatever you want. We're at 21 minutes, 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just going to mark that. And then
Yeah.
if you're like, I don't feel comfortable with that, we can take it out.
Cool.
All right. I'm just saying then that
Woo!
you know
Let me get a chair. Hold on a second.
That's a marker, yeah.
A small bomb went off. What's that now?
No, you're good. Yeah, we're good.
Okay, he's getting a chair.
He's just getting a chair.
Yeah,
Feel
dude.
better?
So much better. Thanks, guys. My
man.
booty was.
Yeah. No, we the lady that ran the space before, she set off a small bomb, and it burned out this whole space, and it became available. We got to bid on it, and we got it.
No one
fair
got
and square.
hurt?
Nobody
No one got hurt.
That's good.
Thankfully.
Yeah.
It took
Energies
17
aligned.
firefighters about 20 minutes to put the fire out. They said it was like 90 seconds away from catching a little crawl space and running like throughout the block.
That would have been bad news.
That would have been real bad. Which, if you know anything about 20s era buildings in a given space, they're all like connected, So yeah, it would have run through the entire block like that. So anyway, they did their job, got it under control, and we got to bid on the space. We got the space, and then literally our 2-year anniversary is when we were first cracking the wall to come through.
Use the little
Nice.
Square Capital to help get the space going.
Square Capital
Just
helped
shouts
us get her
out.
done.
Yeah. How does that work? Pitch it, bro. You're on.
Pitch it. You plug it.
Just plug in. Enables the small business to take a fixed loan that's paid back through percentage of transactions on the credit card sales. So we didn't really feel the hit, and it helped us grow.
It worked.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Hell
Square.
yeah. Square Capital. It's good knowledge for people. I didn't know about it. I was unfamiliar with the world of Square. I think you hit me to that. So bomb, no one got hurt.
No one got hurt.
So I'm not endorsing any bomb activity,
No
but
bomb
maybe a little
activity.
blessing in disguise for you in the
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Yeah, it's
It
enabled us to open this up to be able to just sit where we're at right now.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Enjoy
It
some
changed it up,
sunshine.
It's
man.
great.
We were able to then, expand, and expand literally the vibes, that
Yeah.
on this sidewalk as you're walking by, it didn't feel, a certain kind of way, and not to take anything away from what Venice, has been or is, but we did see a value to creating a space that was going to be, impactful in the most positive way
Yeah.
for this neighborhood, and that wasn't happening before.
Yeah, there's a balance to neighborhood development, and we're kind of seeing it in Santa Cruz too, especially on the east side, because there's a lot of that. I don't know if you would call it gentrification over there, because it's like
There are already
everyone
white
over
folks
there
up
is like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? But it's just a lot of shifting in mindset. New businesses come in, and then some of them you can tell are positive forces in the neighborhood, and then some of them are just these weird little generic things. But the mindset of people is so split to where there's this weird building next to my building, and I freaking love it. It's the funkiest, strange apartment complex. It's this bright, like teal green building. It just looks so beach town and like weird. And the dude who owns the building repainted it the exact same color.
Tight.
And the people who own my building, which is like a new kind of modern thing, they're like, "Why did he do that?" And I'm like, "Dude, it's great. It's
funky.
awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I don't
Embrace
want
the funk.
it's got that funk. Like, I don't want East Side Santa Cruz to look exactly like Portland does after everything came in there.
Yeah.
No diss to Portland, but you know what I mean. It's like you got to keep some of that character.
Yeah, man.
Accentuate the neighborhood and not
Yep.
take it over. This is changing a lot. It seems like. I mean,
Yeah,
a lot of
Venice
growth.
is a dynamic little town, a city, by the beach.
Bums and billionaires.
Bums and billionaires. You're right.
I really like the grit, and my wife Jenny, she doesn't like grit too much, but I'm like, I like places just interesting enough to where I still feel safe, but it's like a little bit interesting, and like something weird could happen.
In any moment.
Yeah, at any
Dude,
moment.
I promise you, man, this is like a lightning rod
Oof.
of weird at times. Yeah.
There's something about it that I really love. Were you accepted in the neighborhood like right off the bat from the locals?
Yeah,
was
I think
it pretty
a little.
smooth?
Yeah, a little of the time. I had opened up the Intelligentsia on Abbot Kinney. I was, the original hire for it, and we opened up that place. I think with like the last generation of Venice locals. That it was a little work to have them embrace us. Because we were in shirts and ties and all this types of craziness.
Right, there's a certain aesthetic you had.
So, I mean, we had to be that much more warm and amazing, whatever, to make people feel welcomed, So anyway, that reputation kind of stuck with me while I was bouncing around town for a couple years doing Handsome and Heart and the Hunter. And then when we started this place, a lot of the people that, had remembered me from Intelligentsia basically started coming once we opened here,
Yeah.
And that was like an immediate sort of segue into our community. That again, like the foundation had just kind of been laid a few years before. So
Which probably would have been a whole different story if you had never been here. You're like, hey, brand new guy.
Sup?
Hey,
Hey,
coffee
guys.
shop.
it totally might have
I'm
been
just
different.
part of this
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
now.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
cool. It's nicer when it feels plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We experienced the same thing with Jared and I working around the corner from our original store for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we did have those experiences where people would come by like, why the fuck are you building another coffee? Oh, it's you.
I like you guys.
You guys are cool. And I'm like, yeah,
totally,
for sure.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
It's like kind of scary. You're like, I'm cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's-
So I think
We're here to help you
embraced
guys.
by a great deal of the locals here and stuff. And then there's some that don't necessarily rock with us, and that's what's okay too. I mean,
That's
there's
right, yeah.
plenty of shops now in the neighborhood and everything to be like, not us, them, and I love keeping it community in that sense too, because like the great deal of the baristas that work all around here all come in here at some point and have a cup of coffee too, So, yeah.
What if we shift real quick? Something I wanted to ask you for a long time, which is, what was your like break-in moment with coffee? When
Oh,
did you
word.
decide I'm going to work at a coffee shop? How's this
Dang.
interesting to you?
All right. Well, it's worth saying that I'd had good coffee work experiences through high school. Like my first coffee job was at Starbucks in Seattle, and I was working
way.
at their flagship location, 4th and Westlake at the time. And while I was there, I was even covering shifts at their original location when I had time off school. So I was picking up extra shifts whenever I could. As soon as I would be out of school, I'd go to work there. And I think they recognized, or I recognized, or I can say I can remember even then, being like the perfect little robot, to like upsell this, upsell that, and everything. So that impression, it stuck with me. I loved the atmosphere and the job itself. While I was working for Starbucks, in 10 months, it went from like super automatics went from, like classic, somebody's pulling a shot, somebody's steaming milk, to super automatics, right? But everything about like a 5-minute timer and walking the floor still is something that, that sticks with me from my Starbucks time, right? But I worked at Starbucks, I worked at Tully's, I worked at Krispy Kreme all through high school. And, those were corporate, spaces and environments to make coffee. And it felt a kind of way. I just loved the job of putting it together.
Was that like a job for you? Or like when you decided to apply at Starbucks, you're like, this will be fine? Or
It was.
were you drinking coffee already?
Drinking coffee in the traditional sense of growing up, Puerto Rican, you know what I mean? That you're gonna have coffee in your house at some point, and but not to the level of appreciation of like, so long as I had my caramel frappuccino, I was happy. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
But anyway, like
Complex
that was,
sweetness.
dude. Complex.
There's whipped cream
Yo.
and caramel.
So I mean, it just
Finish.
Finish is clean.
the hell of finish, yo. The finish on the top of your roof of your
Right.
mouth. That's what was extra. But it stuck with me all through high school, and then when I graduated, I was bouncing around doing a couple of jobs. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, and I was working overnight at this grocery store. And my girlfriend at the time could recognize that I was just kind of hating life. She's like, I know this coffee shop that just opened up a new place. You should give them a resume. And it was across the street from the REI I really wanted to work at. I submitted a resume to that REI. I got the job to the REI. I still had the job at the grocery store. I'm kind of feeling like, all right, I'll do both these jobs. It'll be cool until I hear back from this coffee shop. The coffee shop hits me up maybe about 2 or 3 weeks later, and I remember, answering the phone and being like in the middle of sleep because I was working overnight, and then, he hit me up. This guy hit me up at like 9 o'clock in the morning, and woke me up, and I'm like, who is this? And he's like, oh, hi, my name is David. I have your resume here. Would you be interested in coming in for a resume? And I'm like, where's the resume at? And he's like, Vivace. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, man. I just accepted this job at REI, and I got this grocery store job. I really appreciate you getting back to me, but I think I'm okay, man. I'm just gonna work those two. And he's like, okay, all right, well, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. And I was like, all right, cool, Dan, thanks. So I hang up the phone, and my girlfriend at the time, she said, who was that? And I'm like, someplace called Vivace or something like that. I don't know, but I'm going back to bed right now. And she's like, no, you might want to give them a call back, actually. That's like the best coffee in Seattle. And I was like,
So she was keeping you straight.
She's Seattleite, born and raised, and so
Okay.
she definitely had an appreciation for
She knew the weight.
their place, and I did not, and so I was like, well, all right, I'll call him back. Call him back. Sure enough, David answers the phone again. It's David Schomer answers, and he's like, hello, and I'm like, yeah, I just spoke with some guy named David about some resume I put in at Vivace. He's like, Oh yeah, that was me. You just spoke to. Yeah, if you still want to come in, we'd be happy to have you for an interview. And I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, I'll make some time. So I went in on a Tuesday, and I remember the minute like I sat down in the interview, I was surrounded by 4 people that wanted to hear what I had to say, and I'd never been in an interview like that before.
No way.
Wow. And I remember a handful of questions, but one in particular. He said, well, what brought you out to Seattle? And I said, well, my mom moved me out to Seattle because I wanted to pursue vocal performance. And the school that I applied to was pretty well known for their choir program. And, that's why my mom brought me here. She's like, oh, so there's an artistic background and a mother that understands that. So he recognized my relationship with her, and for whatever it was that stood out to him. And, we finished the interview. I'm walking down the street. And I get a call from Casey Fricks, one of the managers of the location. He's like, we really enjoyed it, our time with you. We'd like to offer you a position like right away. And I was like, okay, cool. So I start working there. I quit my job at the grocery store, and I'm doing REI and Vivace at the same time.
And that's the ones that are right across the street from each other.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it was easy enough to go from one place to the other. And at some point, about 3-4 months in, after a training with Jody Jakes, one of his longest tenured employees, she pulls me aside after the training, and she's like, and she knew also that I was entertaining the idea of a full-time position at REI. She's like, we know that you've got a really great opportunity ahead of you with REI, but we really see that you got something extra for this. If, it's at all possible, we'd like to have you commit to being here. We know we don't have all the hours you need right now, but we'll make it work. But we really think you've got something for this. And that was honestly like the perfect thing to say to an early 20-something that's when I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to be about, and so I dedicated right then to it.
How did that feel, not on a coffee level, but just on a personal level, to have someone just kind of want you there more? I feel like that's a really unique thing in a job, especially in the time, because I don't think at that time people are really aware of like, oh, you got to treat your employees well, you got to go out, and to have someone see something special in you.
Man, the perfect thing an early 20-something needed to hear in an atmosphere where I was ready to be mentored, and there were a handful of mentors ready for me there. And I didn't necessarily know that they were all going to be my mentors, but they knew it. And they, collectively were always, asking me about more than coffee. They were engaging, and truthfully, it's something that I start to get emotional about because I had never been treated as much like a family member until I worked there. And mind you, my family consists of me and my mom. So this was an entirely different space and experience, everything for me. And so and I'd already been looking up to Jody Jakes like she was a superhero. Like today, like I still think of her, manning this little 6-foot bar with a long apron, and the way she would move from side to side, it looked like a cape behind her, And so so for her to be like, and I knew she'd been making coffee already for 12 plus years, 15 years or something like that, and I was like, wow, she really thinks that I got something for this, and she's recognizing that I've been working really hard. Like, okay, like then that's where I need to be, So that was it.
I'm so jealous that you even got the chance to hang up on David.
Dude.
You're like, nah, dude, I'm cool.
We're good. Soccer, dude.
Yo, man. And
meanwhile, in like California, like a few years prior, I'm like buying the DVD. I got the book. I got like both the DVDs, and I'm watching this dude on my TV screen in his like sick little apron and his sick little bolo tie.
Yeah,
And
buddy.
I'm like, hell yeah, dude. And I'm like, this guy is super weird, but he's got it dialed.
Yeah.
Like, and
Dialed.
he was, I mean, in my mind, the birth of latte art in the United States, like the birth of what most people think of as like the modern specialty coffee cafe, like he's heavily responsible for that.
Well,
Definitely.
I'm grateful that people touch on that know, because again, I appreciate his presence in my life so much that he told his baristas like, yo, this guy's really got something at some point, and for him to recognize that as well, and want to keep me engaged, it meant everything, and he was also, a dude that had 2 kids by now to be mellowed out enough that I'd heard, legend of him firing people for serving 1 bad shot of espresso,
Yeah,
so
I heard all those stories.
So he had at least by now been willing enough to be another mentor, you know what I mean? And I'm lucky he treated me like I was, one of his kids for 4 years, so yeah.
Yeah, I give it to David. I only met him one time, and I fanned out on him super hard, which I told you about. But I don't know. It makes me sad when people don't know.
Yeah.
And then there was this weird period of time, I feel like, where he was doing his thing, and then this whole new wave of specialty started to approach, and people were like kind of talking crap, and they're like, yeah, he's old news. And I'm like, no. Like, you got to respect people and where they came from and
Lineage.
their contribution to the overall culture. And I don't know. So I just talk about it as much as I possibly can.
I appreciate that,
It's
man.
something that's so real for me, even though I wasn't there, because
Yeah.
I'm like, I went up and told him, I'm like, dude, you like taught me how to make coffee, basically. In my mind, like, you taught me how to make latte art.
Incredible.
Like, you showed me how. I had 2
Word.
ergo packers. I was like, I got my ergo packers. I'm tamping
Yep.
this thing.
Yeah. I'm
When
still
did-
waiting on the update for his ergo packer. Just I've heard that there's a 2.0 in the making and stuff, So
snap.
I'm like, look
like
out,
a thinner
Coffee World.
piston, maybe. I don't know.
There might be some things going on there. You know what I mean? But to know that dude had the ability of being as impactful in the industry as he was, still be a guy that kind of wanted to exist humbly. You know what I'm saying? And if somebody fanned out on him, that might turn him off. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I admittedly, I'm sad that not enough people know the David that I know, and then apart from that, some of the people that he put in place, like a Brian Fairbrother that, you talk about, like, our industry, you know what I mean? Like, there are few people that have done this, for a dozen years, let alone 22 years like Brian Fairbrother
Brian
had.
was working there for a really. Did he pass?
He passed away.
I remember seeing. He was. I don't mean to sidetrack you,
No.
but like I remember he was such a presence that I knew who he was, but I didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
Like I knew he was a thing.
Yeah.
And I remember one time he took my pastry order, and I'd seen him at all the shops because I was like, oh, this guy's been here for like 10 plus years, and he's like working customer service, like taking orders and just crushing it. And I don't know, it was like a weird experience.
Man, he is one of the
it was
most
heavy.
beautiful human beings I've been blessed to know. Again, an amazing mentor in the sense that I was nervous about getting a neck tattoo at some point, and he was like, "Oh, sweetie, we just want you to be as you are." Again, perfect thing to hear is like a 20-something be like, "Man, well, this is where I need to be at," And he was always so. He was the mother of the entire staff, 45 plus people, and he kept us all together in a beautiful way. That when he passed away, like, man, I was pretty devastated, And I mean, my firstborn is named in part after him, And again, there are a few people that could say, man, I've made coffee for like 15 plus years, That guy had done it for 22 years, 1,500 people showed up for his memorial,
Wow.
That his impact on Capitol Hill in Seattle in coffee,
It's huge.
is something that I'm like, man, if I get a tenth of that, you know what I'm saying, I'd be lucky, So, yeah.
When did you know that you had it? Like, okay,
Man,
like,
I don't even think I can know I got it right now.
Yeah.
well, you know what I'm saying? There's like, or when did you know that you had the potential to have it? Because there's people that are telling you, hey, we want you to stay. Hey, you're doing a good job. Hey, this is awesome. And then at some point you cross that threshold and you're just like, so maybe to make it less weird, I'll tell you when I feel like I knew that
Okay.
I had it.
All right.
So
Yeah. All right. Word.
I was making coffee in my hometown, learning how to do this stuff.
Modesto?
Like got Modesto. Shout out to the 209.
99?
Started working at Ritual, and then when I moved to San Francisco, I was just like a really intimidated kind of kid because the culture was different, even though it's close enough to the Bay Area. We would go skate there and stuff, but I was like, whoa, I'm here
is
now.
big.
This is
Yeah.
big. Like,
Yeah.
this is crazy. Then there's people like, it's like Eileen and Jeremy own the company, and there's people like Gabe and Ryan who I'm like, whoa, these guys are like next level.
Yeah.
This is
Gabe's
crazy
coming
stuff. And then it was on one of those trips where we ended up meeting you, but we went for one of like the Coffee Fest latte art
Yeah.
things. And I'd been to another one in Vegas. It was when you used to be able to pick your winning pour, like back in the day, and I sandbagged myself and picked the wrong one. But then that same year we did Seattle and we did the one in Chicago. And Seattle was like, okay, I got third place, and I was like, hell yeah, third place. That's pretty tight. I think that's cool, but it could be like a one-off maybe. It might be
Yeah.
a one-off. And then we went to Chicago, and I competed out of region for the barista competition and did the Latte Art Championship, and that was the one that I won.
Yeah.
And right then, like, my score didn't count in the barista competition, but I like would have qualified third.
Oh.
And that moment, like after I got the trophy for the latte art, I was like, I think I could do this.
Word.
I think I might fit in here, and I think I could maybe make something out of this. And I didn't know what it meant as far as like. I didn't know what it meant, but it just felt like I could be at home. You know, I'm not an outsider anymore.
Yeah. No, you know, I think it'd probably be around the same time and stuff because that coffee fest, I'd been working for Vivace for about 3 years up until that point, and all we'd ever talked about, or all we'd ever done was kind of talk shit, honestly, about Coffee Fest, right? We were like, oh my God, there's all these annoying people about to come in and ask us all these questions and stuff, right?
Get ready.
Oh.
But there was a gal that started working at Espresso Vivace the year ahead of that one. Her name was April Pollard, and she was kind of the one that kind of got me into taking pictures of my latte art, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And she was the one to first challenge me, you know, even in thinking about other flavors, you know, of what coffee's supposed to taste like, right? And she was she competed in that one, right? And I remember looking at, you know, all the pours that were submitted and all that type of stuff. And hers, I think she ended up getting like 10th place or something like that, you know? And I even remember posting on Flickr at some point, you know, like pointing at it being like, man, if this was us on bar right about now, you know, we might have handled everybody up here or something like that. I talk shit. I ain't, you know.
No.
Chris DeFario helped, you know, even likes to remind me of that sometimes, you know what I'm saying? But I was like, yo, I felt confident about it. I was like,
I can relate to that feeling.
It was one of those things like, man, I think, you know, like I could probably pour with these guys. I didn't compete in that one. I was just watching, you know? I was like, man, I think I could pour with these people, you know? And the visit that you guys came with, right? Like I remember your whole bus kind of unloading and all these people filing in on the stairs, which, you know, if you've ever been to Alley 24, Espresso Vivace, there's like a whole long little staircase that all of a sudden you've got.
There's like a switchback thing.
There must have been
like,
yeah.
It was
full.
Like
15 of y'all, 20 of y'all or something like that, man.
It was wild in the streets.
There was a lot, you know, so like I remember like every one of y'all coming through, kind of evaluating my drinks a certain way. I think I even remember Pele using a spoon to see how thick my foam was.
Oh, God, that was when people used to do that annoying shit like
you
that.
You know, and
I was just so mad
shout
at people.
out to Pele, though. Love that guy.
Oh,
man.
Pele's the
and,
best,
you know,
yeah.
But, you know, I remember, you know, Chris Owens being in that line and stuff, and I remembered most of the interactions I had with everybody that was like positive. Like they were excited, like, wow, you're like doing coffee here, you're having a good time. I was like, yeah, man, this is cool, you know, and that left an impression on me that I was like, wow, okay, I think I could like pour with these people I've seen in this, and a lot of these people are actually kind of cool, you know, like the world was bigger than just Espresso Vivace at that point, you know, and it got me thinking about more, and I was like, I wonder what else could happen.
That's rad.
Then Kyle Glanville comes to pay me a visit, you know, sees that all of a sudden my brain is starting to think a little bit more and talks to me about Intelligentsia Venice.
Wow.
Recruited.
Yeah.
Recruited.
And that's where I was like, all right, I think I do got to push this forward, man. I think I can hang with this.
That's a big jump.
Yeah.
Seattle to LA.
That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so heavy.
Yo.
That trip was amazing. I remember Gabe was so pumped on you.
I mean,
he's
yeah,
like,
you talk about somebody I didn't interact with, you know, on Flickr so much, you know, and I'm like, yo, this guy's Puerto Rican. He's working at this.
That's the first thing. He's like, that dude's Puerto Rican. He's got neck tattoos. That guy's Puerto Rican, got neck tattoos.
Yeah.
Gabe was like, that's my favorite barista ever.
Yo, it meant something, man. It did.
It was super cool. I
appreciated
it, even not knowing who you are, because where we came from, like baristas kind of looked a certain way, and they had a certain vibe, and that was with Jared and I when we went to our first barista competition. We kind of felt like outsiders. Like I kind of looked like a skateboarder, he looks like a surfer, and everyone else just didn't have that look.
Sure.
And I was like, am I even supposed to be here?
Yeah, I was
this
rocking
right,
heavy football jerseys and you know, baseball caps and stuff. Yeah,
I was like, what am I doing?
Totally.
Like, what's the deal?
Bring in the athleticism.
Yeah,
Just
pretty
keeping it
much,
fresh,
yeah.
dude.
Extreme sports, traditional sports
Yeah.
coming together.
coming together. Well, you know, David had us all hip on the idea of wearing black shirts and like, you know, long sleeve, you know, and looking a certain kind of way behind the bar. And then, you know, he realized he kind of couldn't put me in that box, you know, and then he was like, all right, yeah, just let you go. And I was wearing all these crazy jerseys and colorful things and crazy hats and stuff, you know. So I was happy to kind of break that mold a little bit, though.
That's so
you know?
sick.
Yeah.
Moving from there, so when you've competed in your first like World Latte Art Championships, you were in LA at that time, or was that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was working for Intelligentsia. I was now having the opportunity to pour in upwards of 400 or 500 drinks a day. And
So busy.
That was getting me
because you
pretty
started at
primed.
Silver Lake.
They did, yeah. I was at Silver Lake maybe in like its 13th month of existence, you know, and man, I was lucky there too. Like I got embraced by a lot of Silver Lake cats, you know, that when we opened up the Venice location again, people were like, oh man, I'm gonna have a reason to like come out to Venice, and it made the community that much smaller. And for a person moving into a big city, it was awesome. It felt more like community.
That's so sick.
Yeah, but
it's like
Silver Lake.
Silver Lake's wild. That place was so busy.
It was nuts.
It was
freaking
freaking
it was
wild.
super nuts.
Like
yeah.
first to market there, really.
Yeah.
With
No, I mean, I
especially
remember
seeing this
weighing
blown
out. We were doing clover brews at the time, right? My first job at
Because there was
Silver
no
Lake.
batch brew.
Dude, it
right?
was no batch
Buy the
brew.
cup stuff
no,
only,
all this,
dude.
Yo, squeegee. You know what I'm saying on the clover the clover. And I mean, I remember to this day, I think we were weighing out like 29.5 grams per cup or something, and that was my first job at Silver Lake. Was
Stir it with a whisk.
stir it with the whisk, just like that.
Puck.
Squeeze,
Get rid of that puck.
Get it out of there.
That's a wild origin story, dude.
Yeah.
It is.
I
It's
know.
crazy. There's levels,
There-
as
yeah.
we say.
And there's time we will not have to be able to talk this out now.
Yeah.
Next
You're-
week.
You're getting a taste. There'll be round
Taste.
2.
Yeah.
You're like the undercover brother, but not. So you were this person that I didn't even know existed.
It's all right.
Until
I can be a
the
Chuck
last
Jack
year,
Jack.
and
I can be a
then
Charles guy.
I was like, oh, Derek.
I like to be on the internet.
Yeah, you
Kinda
like to be on the internet.
represent. There's some internet shots happening
Oh,
over
internet's
here.
happening.
we get
I
in the selfie game right
Getting
here,
the
man. We
selfies
do.
on.
The selfie game is
Tag.
great. It's the best thing ever.
Tag, comment,
Yeah.
subscribe, or
Subscribe,
whatever.
rate, and review. Share with your friends.
You ever been on Zanga?
How would you describe your day to day in
It
the Menotti's world?
It really depends.
Responsible. That's what it
there's a
is.
lot
Look
of
at all
those
those keys.
A lot of keys.
Yeah.
My back kind of hurts from
Is that? Are you cool, dude? That's a major key alert right there.
Major key alert.
Major key.
Major.
Major key.
Just give me a little.
Jeez,
sound
they're
bit.
all do not duplicate. That means they're all really important.
Very
there's some
important.
buildings.
do not duplicate. Do not duplicate. Do not duplicate. How
Whoa.
much property do you own?
You
dude?
can't
I don't-
duplicate a person like this.
Can't
either.
duplicate
not
you.
duplicate.
Cannot duplicate you.
Yep.
I'm basically just trading cryptocurrencies,
Yo,
Well,
On
okay.
well, yeah.
Let me spin it for you.
Well, some,
Can I
okay,
spin it
so-
for you?
Yeah, spin it.
Or were you going to spin it your own direction?
I don't know. I was trying to start my thought
Start
process.
it. Yeah.
Sorry, because there's no one day is the same. Because some days start bar backing, in the sinks. Trilly D in the sinks. That's my Snap handle. Get in there. Also, some days are talking on the phone, talking to Marshmallow or Chris Baca or Bahrain or Tokyo, and
Everything in Bahrain.
yeah, making some things happen. Some days is, providing food runs. Maybe our milk distributor.
nobody
dropped it.
cares about my blood sugar intake as much as this guy right here.
I really want my
Taking
my
care of
people,
everybody.
Yeah.
our people, to be hydrated, well fed, proper pH balance internally. So there's a lot of layers and a lot of levels.
I think something that I see you as, which we touched on earlier, is some sort of cultural curator, like opening up people's minds to weird and potentially unusual things.
Definitely.
And I think one story, there's probably many more that illustrate that, was you told a story of there was some sort of staff bonus thing back in the day.
Well, yeah, or more recently. But
Or more recently.
Yeah, but
Whenever,
yeah.
And you offered, okay, you could take this cash or offered X amount of Bitcoin, right?
Yeah,
Cryptocurrency, basically.
We had a little bonus we want to share with everyone, and it's either you got the option of cash, Bitcoin, Litecoin, or Ethereum. Kind of some of the major world currencies, if you will, and just wanted to see what the sentiment would be or how people want to approach storing value for their future. And
Which is interesting because some of those little bits that you gave are worth a lot more now.
definitely, yeah.
But even more so than that, I think it's cool because you're plugged into all these things. Like the more I get to know you, the more stuff you're plugged into. Just when I think you can't actually be plugged into more stuff.
Some people call me Data D.
Yeah, I can see that. It's like, whoa. I'll mention something. I'm like, hey, there's this weird idea. You're like, oh yeah, no, I'm doing that already.
No,
Some people.
but yeah.
No, I mean it's awesome. Not in a corny way, but
Thank you.
there's this whole world out there that a lot of people aren't attuned to, and it's hard to stay up on those things. So by opening doors to people to just experience things that they might not get to experience otherwise, I think that's pretty awesome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, definitely love sharing ideas and knowledge. I'm so thankful that you're doing these podcasts and sharing knowledge, and thank you for having us a part of this sharing session. But
Yeah.
I mean, I was while we were standing up on on bar together and everything, and I was saying, I'm literally standing next to somebody I look up to in the industry a whole lot, dude. I mean, that's fact. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dude, I received that. I appreciate that.
man, I there are, you talk about that competition you were in. You took third place. I remember watching you there. Was that the one that Sawada won, right?
That was before that. That
Oh,
was
the
when
year before.
he
The year
was
before.
there.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
he used to be so
That's
nervous
right.
that he could not actually pour.
That's right.
And
yeah.
he had these pictures of like the
Yeah.
most amazing latte art,
Yep.
and then he would produce nothing.
yeah.
But that was when the Canadians were killing it.
Yeah, just the year before.
Watch out,
Layla
Canada.
Osberg with her heart or something like that.
Oh
and
yeah, the
stuff,
hearts were on fire,
Yeah,
dude.
they
It
were
was like
doing
that diamond shit.
Yeah.
Hearts on fire all
Yep.
day.
Yep. But no, I mean, like I remembered seeing you then, and then it was kind of nuts to go to work for Intelligentsia and everything, and then be helping train your competitors. You know what I'm saying? Like it was nuts because like while I was helping people I've worked with, compete with you, I was admiring your approach to the competition.
That's
you know
cool.
What I'm saying?
I appreciate that.
So, I mean, for me to be able to say, like, I'm working with somebody I've looked up to in the industry and I appreciate and everything, finally, Jared also gets some love for that as well, too.
Hell
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
Dude, it's a dream come true.
Dude,
Yeah.
sentiment is the same. I appreciate that. It's just
Yeah.
real.
We're inspired by the trips that you offer your employees. We try to offer our employees other world experiences as well, like music festivals, movie premieres, but also origin trips.
And you got some crazy stuff going on. Like, you got people on staff who want to get their cue.
Yeah, we're
what's
supporting
up with
Q
that?
graders.
Dude.
We're supporting Latte Art Championships.
I think that's an
fun
amazing
world
story.
travels.
Dude,
Like coffee, music are such beautiful vehicles to see the world, to touch base with the international community, and we're come work with us. We're really excited.
Come mess with us, dude.
Yeah,
No,
like,
and I mean, and
to
you're
help
touching
with
on
Menotti.
something that, for me to tell the story of being grateful for David, to recognize something in me and want to push me forward, we've got a gal, Jackie, that works with us that, for us to recognize, like, man, she's really caring about this a little extra, and she's putting in a certain amount of time that, she doesn't necessarily need to and everything, but it's evident, that she cares about this, You got to, like, recognize it, and foster that, and it was, she's like, look, I've been wanting to take these classes. That is, she brought me the Q sort of layout and everything. I'm like, yeah, girl, let's do this. Let's get you up there, And I mean, she's forked up the money herself, you know what I mean, to, put herself up there, But I'm like, yeah, we'll make sure you got that time off, Like, we'll make that happen, And it's awesome to see somebody else get bit by it in a way and run with it,
She blew me away because I opened up that door. We were all hanging out last night. Thank you for letting me,
Thank you.
us, come into that staff meeting. It was great. But all I did was ask her. I was like, hey, what made you want to get the cue? And then she just goes, and she talked for like, 5 minutes, and then she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I was just rambling. I'm like, no, I want to know. Like, this is amazing.
Pure.
Yeah.
And then she did it again, and I
Yeah.
was like, whoa, this is sick. And it's so unusual, and I don't know why more people do this. Like, I don't have my cue, but usually people who get their cue work for coffee roasting companies. So it's kind of an interesting thing to have someone who works for a company that doesn't roast coffee it's just pure love. Like, I just want to do this because this is what I'm psyched about, and this is
yeah.
what I believe in. Like, I have that thirst, I got that hunger,
Yep.
and I'm going to go get it.
No, I mean, she's, born and raised here in Venice, like young Mexican lady that, to be honest, in our industry and everything, there is a level of representation of people of color and, various backgrounds we're still looking to, champion and put in the right positions and stuff. And in the most authentic and amazing way I could ever hope, somebody is rising through the ranks in my own shop, you know what I mean? And it's like, the responsibility is mine to help push her forward and others, So it's the best thing best part of my existence now after being a latte art competitor and all this, stuff now. So
Yeah, you're just getting to foster that other
Man.
growth,
Pattern.
next
It's
generation.
like from one comes many, I think
Yeah.
that's like the coolest thing for me about being a part of a team that owns a business is seeing it's like an energy multiplier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's true.
If like there's so much you can do, but then with Alex, with Jared, with Tanner, with Kristen, with Natalie, with everybody, like it's
Power.
so much more power.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's
And
like
I mean,
it's like an
we've had
amplifier.
100%
Teamwork.
You know, and we've had situations where teamwork has been super necessary. Like we do Coachella, we're the coffee in the main VIP area, and you know those are logistical sort of Rubik's cubes that we have to like form and figure out and everything. You know, and I've come away feeling stronger. You know, with some of my staff and everything because you know we end up going through things that we don't go through in the shop here. A line 60 people deep for 7 hours. You know what I'm saying? Like
Different goal
we're gonna get through
achievement.
this.
Yeah.
You know
You
what
come
I'm
back
saying?
bonded
And-
on a different kind
Yo,
of level.
Problem solving so key.
Yeah.
So,
Just
I
to
mean,
life
it's-
in general. So
it's
learning to
rad.
solve problems together is
Yep.
pretty special.
It's
Yep.
super special, dude. I think
This is super special.
this is special.
This was
whole
pretty
thing's
special.
Thank
This was the
you,
very
Chris
first
Baca.
podcast. Second
This is a-
podcast.
Second
I've ever done.
podcast.
Yeah.
That's
I love-
awesome.
Yeah.
Two podcasts deep.
Yeah.
You heard it here second, but you heard these stories here first.
I might have smoked one of them away though, or something. I'll be real about that. All right.
We got to save some for round two. We should
Round
get back
two.
to the real world right
Let's
now.
do that.
Yeah.
Thank
Pretty
you so
fun.
much for
Sorry-
taking the time.
Yeah. Thank you
Word.
so much for taking the time. Sorry if I've been waving and
Oh no,
the-
waving's great.
Okay,
I
cool.
love it. I like the realism of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Connecting through screens.
see you.
and
There's
stuff,
two
you know?
worlds. There's
I see-
this world, and then there's
This.
this other world.
Yeah.
Thanks for
We
listening
gotta-
to Cat and Cloud Coffee Podcast.
Thank you for having us.
You'll be hearing from these cats soon.
We love you.
We love you.